afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name again is Aram Kistemaker with Kistemaker Business Law Group, and we're here with our weekly question and answer with Kistemaker Business Law Group on Fridays. This week, we are so honored to have Bridget Bergens with BWell. She's going to speak on the very relevant topic of health, wellness, both possibly mental and physical, and how we can implement those in our daily life and what she recommends for us. So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Bridget and let her introduce herself a little further.
Oh, thanks, Aram, for having me today. I wanted to let everyone know I have an integrative wellness center in Daytona Beach. I am a functional medicine practitioner. I'm a certified health and wellness coach, and I also practice food and spirit. And that's a very interesting concept in regards to your nutrition based on your chakras. And I love incorporating that into my practice. I'm also a registered occupational therapist for the past 35 years. But what I thought today, it's so relevant to talk to you, is about can we really boost our immune system and how maybe we can do that through nutrition and making sure you're getting the right balanced diet and supplements that you might need. And we truly, truly can impact our immune system. Our immune system is very, very complicated. It is a lot of specialized cells. It pulls into affect chemical messengers, also our organs and our glands. And so these are the means to protect our body from these harmful invaders that do enter. And if our immune system is off balance, sometimes we'll have an overactive immune system, or sometimes we'll have an underactive immune system. And that's a lot of times based on how well you eat, if you have a nutrient-dense diet, or if you have a poor diet where you're eating more fast processed foods. And another thing comes into effect that's so important is the inflammation in our body. What we don't realize is that our gut health is very, very important for our immune system. About 80% of our immune cells are in our gut. So when our gut isn't healthy, it either probably will make our immune overactive or underactive, just depending on what your condition might be. So how do we strengthen and boost is the key here. And I think the key is balance. We want to have a balance in our lifestyle, of course. You want to have great sleep, good diet, which we're going to talk about today. Reduce your stress, and through that I always recommend whatever exercise you enjoy. I am not a big exerciser for myself. Like you get that adrenaline rush and people are running and all. I like to do things that are fun for my exercise. So I think when working with my clients, it's important to establish that. I like tennis. I love Pilates. So those things I want to do, and I do, and that makes me more physically fit. But I'm not one where I'm going to go to the gym. So we have to all find what works best for us so that we can achieve that. So what I like to kind of tell folks is to take a quick inventory check. Are you getting all the right vitamins? And that can be through your foods, not just supplements. So my first vitamin is always vitamin D. It's a vitamin that a lot of folks are deficient on and we don't realize it. I like to recommend that you at least get a baseline from your doctor, and that's usually a blood test. And that gives you an idea of where you might be. Even living in Florida, it's amazing how many of us are deficient in vitamin D. So that's the first start. And then if you are, try to incorporate foods that are high in vitamin D. And those are kind of I always like to do pasture-raised organic eggs. And you'll see that on the package. Not just organic, you want the pasture-raised.
Can you tell them sort of the difference? I really didn't know the difference between organic, pasture-raised, and free-range. And there's actually a big difference between all of them.
Yes, very much so. So free range just means they've let them out for a second. and they can put them back in the cages. So, I mean, it sounds beautiful. I know when I lived in Oregon, everything was free range. And I said, oh, this is beautiful. They're out all the time. But it is kind of more of a marketing kind of, they're able to put that on there. So the nutritional value is amazing on the yolks of the eggs in a pasture raised versus these other eggs. So organic just means that they're getting organic feed. So they're using, it's more of the food source for the chicken, not so much that they have been outside. And then pasture raised is they're never in the cage. So majority of their life is outside. They're eating, of course, organic feed, but they can run and develop better nutrients. Therefore, their eggs are better. So yeah.
And is there a difference in the color of the yolk also?
Yes, they're very dark orange typically, if you'll notice, and larger yolk as well. I've noticed that in the ones I buy. Yeah.
So I know when I got the better eggs, I actually thought that there was something wrong with the egg because the yolk looked so different. But in fact, I was eating a healthier egg. So
yeah,
it's important to sort of know the differences so it doesn't alarm you.
Yes, and when you're buying products for myself, if you buy organic, it is guaranteed that it's glyphosate free. So
what does that mean?
So that, you know, glyphosate is Roundup. So Roundup is the chemicals we use to kill our weeds.
Right.
And what Roundup does is it actually breaks down in our gut lining. So it damages the good bacteria in our gut. So if you eat regular cereal, all wheat and corn is treated with what they call glyphosate, which is Roundup. It actually becomes part of the plant structure. So you can never wash the Roundup off. When they spray it into the grain, it becomes part of the cellular makeup, so that when they ground it to make cereals, crackers, breads, then you're eating glyphosate. So I'm starting to see they're trying to advocate for glyphosate-free labeling, but if you buy organic, you will know that it wasn't sprayed with Roundup or glyphosate. So like for your children, I always say, you know, get the organic cereals, you know, if you're doing morning breakfast. It's not the most nutritious, but if you want to have cereals now and then, always make sure you're buying organic crackers. And so therefore your less chemicals, less toxicity, and less effect on your good microbiome. Yeah. So with all your foods, I recommend that. Back to vitamin D, I always recommend if you can get some sunlight, but folks that work, the key times to get your sunlight is to have the least clothing on, which we can't do if we're working, you know, and it's from 10 to 2.
Which is why I'm outside, Bridget. This
wonderful.
is the beauty of working from home now, is to take advantage of some of the things that very quickly will be back at work, and very quickly we'll all be complaining again about this time that we were at home, which is why I'm trying to do our Q&A outside to get my vitamin D, because it is very good for our immune system.
Oh, it is. And so if we can do that. Now, some of us will find that no matter how well we eat and we get sun, like myself, I am still vitamin D deficient.
I am also.
Yes. And I have to actually take, and I have for years and years and years, 10,000 milligrams.
Wow.
So yeah, that just keeps me at the minimum level, believe it or not. I test mine every 6 months. The key with vitamin D is you want to assure, and studies have come out, that you're taking it in combination with K2. So these two combinations help the cellular upload so that your body absorbs the D. If you're just taking a straight D, you probably aren't going to absorb as much of it. So they make great supplements now that are in combination, so you don't have to take a lot of pills. So this is one I always recommend that you might need a supplement. Usually folks need between 2,000 to 5,000, most average folks. And then us that are more deficient need 10,000.
But have to take it in combination with vitamin K.
Yes. And so it's nice they make a combo now. Most folks are making that now. The other vitamin that I want to make sure folks are getting in their diet is vitamin A. Vitamin A is very important for the structure of the cells in our respiratory tract and also our gut. And that kind of forms the first line of defense for us and our immune system fighting these bugs that are out there. So great foods for vitamin A. We typically don't take a vitamin A supplement. It might be in your multivitamin. So I always try to encourage folks to eat more foods in which you could get vitamin A. And that's more nuts and seeds. So if you're eating nuts and seeds, though, I truly recommend that you sprout those or you buy sprouted. You can buy them. It's a lot easier. I tend to do that. But if you want to, you can sprout your own seeds. There's a great resource. I'll provide it to Aram, all these websites that we're going to talk about. And they tell you how long you need to soak them. Usually it's at least 12 hours, 24 hours, just depending. And then what you do is you let them dry out, and you can either put them in a low oven or a dehydrator if you want to crisp them up again. But what that does is it breaks down that skin on the nuts and seeds. Our body truly cannot break that down, and it has what it's called a phylic acid component to it that our body cannot break down. Animals can. Their systems are made for that, so that's when they eat those, they don't have issues. But for us, our gut really can't break that down. And sometimes what happens is this acid will bind to our zinc and magnesium. So we might be getting all those great minerals, but actually it's not being absorbed because if we eat a lot of these types of foods. So that's just a little tip there. Aramith is great for vitamin A. That's like you can use that as they have great flour if you're baking, and you can also cook it to eat. And then of course, oily fishes. I always recommend fatty fish. It has great vitamins, and that's salmon. We always hear how great it is. And then of course, we just talked about egg yolks, and then liver is an amazing food. I have always loved chicken livers, grew up on liver in New Orleans, but it is loaded with D, A, lots of great nutrients if you like it. And Grassroots has great chicken livers.
Right.
Another source. Yeah, they were really good. I ordered them for the first time. And of course, incorporating your dark green leafy vegetables. And then for vitamin A, your pumpkin, yellow and orange. I always like to encourage folks to eat from the rainbow. And I love when I do my 21-day detox, is because every few days we just focus on you eating one color food. So it's either yellow for 3 days, orange, white. So it really makes us get out of our comfort zone on diversifying the color of our plate. We always hear green, green, green.
Right.
But yes, try to diversify that out. So that's great.
Now, what do you say to people, Bridget, that maybe everybody doesn't have the resources to get all this wonderful food, or maybe not the budget to get this wonderful food? It becomes very hard to stay healthy when you maybe don't have the resources or budget, and which we're seeing sort of through COVID and the different sort of classes of people that are being more severely impacted versus the others. And it's interesting how maybe how the world may change and what insurance will cover and not cover moving forward, just fighting this very virus.
Yes, it is very challenging. I do tell folks, if you can't afford organic, which is a bit more expensive sometimes, any kind of fruit and veggies are great, just to get that in. And then I tell folks and friends, if you can grow your own garden. So grow some of the things that you like to eat, green, leafy, or easy to grow, tomatoes, things of that nature, where they're reoccurring, and less expensive to acquire those seeds, and makes you get out in the sunshine. And be very selective on what you're picking. I know we love to snack, and those foods are really, really expensive. So sometimes we might need to give up some of those things we truly love, maybe to integrate the whole foods. I try to tell folks, when you're at the grocery, stay in the exterior of the perimeter. So if you don't go into the interior of the store, you're not buying packaged or canned foods. You're buying, typically that's all your fresh, any dairy and meats. And so try to stay in that realm doing that.
And unfortunately, the vitamins too can be expensive. But it is a better alternative sometimes to prescription medication. It just takes a little longer for your body, but insurance doesn't cover vitamins to my knowledge. I'm not sure.
It doesn't, I know, but then I always try to tell my clients, especially when I work with them on issues with cholesterol.
Right.
Statins have such just an impact, side effect on our bodies. It depletes our alpha lipoic acid. That then leads to significant joint pain. You have to be careful of other heart conditions. Doctors just want to get that number down, but they don't think of the impact. So there are means of natural supplements, which might be a little bit more than a prescription, just depending on what your insurance plan is, but it's like plant sterols and niacin and some natural supplements that actually within a 6-month period can reduce your cholesterol by 50 points, and then you get off of them because you don't want to continue to reduce your cholesterol and you maintain a healthy diet. So it's just a short term. Yeah. So it's, and being patient, it's not, our pharmaceutical drugs give us such a quick fix. A lot of folks like the quick, but then the long-term ramifications of what it does to our body aren't the best.
Now, are there any specific vitamins that people are discussing specifically for COVID? I know my mom, she is a, MD, but she does do a lot of holistic items, and she gave me black seed oil, black seed something. I haven't had it yet. It's very bitter, but it was funny. I saw her talking about it. She got it for me, and then Dr. Ahmed, who's a pediatrician in town, albeit that they basically were born in the same country, he was advising his patients to also take the same product. So do you know anything about black seed and why that might be beneficial?
Black seed oil is great. I've taken that before COVID. It's a tremendous antioxidant. And so what we're finding is that, of course, that helps build our immune system, the more antioxidants we have. So that's one item you could do. Other items which have great scientific studies behind it, and they've also talked about it on TV recently, is zinc. What they're finding, yes, is that if the COVID cell, the COVID-19 virus infects you, what happens is in this virus is that it quickly replicates, and it's an RNA virus. And so what we need to do, and that's why that hydroxychloroquine in combination they're finding with either vitamin C, zinc, or of course we said the Z-Pak. I think the Z-Pak was more because folks are acquiring bacterial infections that overlie and underlie the virus. Right. But they're finding that hydroxy will open up the cell. The zinc can therefore get into the cell and stop the replication. That's what's causing this tremendous lung issues. And also they were using IV vitamin C in high doses, 1,500 milligrams 3 times a day. They were using that in China, and I have had a friend that had that as well with COVID. So those are several vitamins. Now, other ones are selenium, and that's a Brazil nut. You guys, 1 Brazil nut a day gives you 60 milligrams, or you can take a supplement. And selenium is a natural antiviral. So I have been just boosting up my immune system with taking some of these natural supplements during this period of time. I won't continue it, but I just wanted to make sure that my levels were good, and especially if you're working out in public or you're going out or you're a caregiver, that you would up that. Another one that's great, and Erin, I'm sure you use it a lot in your cooking, is curcumin or turmeric.
Oh yes, turmeric.
And what I tell folks, if you're using it in your cooking, try to get a black pepper oil. They sell up oil so that it'll absorb. Turmeric on its own typically does not uptake into the cells. It's a very hard supplement to digest. So you always combine it with black pepper, but the oil will help facilitate the powdered one. So that's a great one if you can take it in supplement, but you add it to a lot of your dishes. And then green tea.
Yes.
The ECGC, that is phenomenal antioxidant. So drink yourself a couple of cups of great, I always say, make sure you get organic green tea, is great. And they're finding broccoli sprouts. That's sulforaphane.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's more of you can eat broccoli as well, but there's a powdered sprout form where it's just from the virgin small sprouts. And it's great for an anti-cancer, but they're also showing that it's great for immune system. Of course, because
So
it's
people would almost put that into their smoothie or something. It's a powder, correct?
You could, or you can take it in capsule. I do a capsule, or it's really hard to eat the quantity of broccoli we need sometimes to get the quantity we want to help our immune system. And one other one is nettle root. There's a lot of great botanicals out there. And quercetin, which is another super antioxidant like glutathione. And those are all supplements. And then,
so there's all kinds of supplements people should be taking.
Yeah,
and probably also during flu season. It's all good advice.
And I find my husband and I have taken olive leaf extract.
Okay.
Oh gosh, for probably since we left Oregon, we were taking it there for probably 20 years. And we have found by taking some of these nutraceuticals over the years have built a tremendous base for our immune system. So really, the only reason I've upped all these others is now due to COVID.
Right.
Typically, I will, bump off of those. But if you do some basic mushrooms, olive leaf, all these on a regular basis all year long, you'll build yourself a really good, strong immune system at the cellular level. Yeah, it makes a difference.
So now that's all basically nutrients that you can get from food. And I know you were going to go over some resources because obviously people are trying to avoid going to stores and places like that. What's great about this is you could take care of your health with skipping going to a store. You can have everything directly mailed to you. People don't always have to see a doctor. They can come, or an MD.
Right.
Because you do have lots of credentials behind your name, but you also help with sort of holistic, do we call it holistic health and wellness?
I would say I kind of more term it more functional medicine. So I do more diagnostic based medicine. So I do food sensitivity testing. A lot of folks have autoimmune, joint pains, inflammation, and not really knowing where that's coming from and how do we identify it. And a lot of times we're very unaware of some basic food allergies or food instances. Sometimes it's just a sensitivity because you're not getting a rash or not, stop breathing. But what's happening is the inside of your body is becoming inflamed at a cellular level. So therefore, then you might have joint pain, asthma issues. So they're finding a lot of these underlying chronic conditions may be due to foods that we eat and we're sensitive to them. And so we can test that and then do an elimination diet.
And right now, those sort of underlying conditions, it's very important for people to understand if they have underlying conditions or not, because those that are most vulnerable during this time period seem to be those that do have underlying conditions. The only people that I have heard that have sincerely passed from this disease, unfortunately, did have underlying conditions. So, it's important to know if you have the underlying conditions. Unfortunately, the only way to identify that is with getting a blood test, correct?
Yes, it's a finger prick test. It's so easy. 4 spots and a little card, and you mail that in. It's very easy.
Is there a way to do that online now or no?
No, it just drop ships to your house. So I mail you that kit. They just drop ship it. You do it. It's very easy. You mail that in, and then I will get the report, and we set up a consult to review that, and then we can.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very.
Test like your cholesterol and everything too.
We have ones that can test. I do one for micronutrient absorption. I do one for hormone and cortisol if you have trouble sleeping.
Or just have a stressful life.
A stressful life, which a lot of us do. I have very high cortisol levels. I'm constantly doing nutraceuticals and kind of trying to do lifestyle changes to lower my cholesterol, to sleep, to turn my brain off, to shut down, to get that adequate sleep. So there are either urine, saliva, or blood, which is usually typical finger prick, which makes it easy for home.
So they deliver it. So we call you, we sign up.
Yeah.
And then you start with the footprints. A box is mailed to us.
Yes, whatever you identify you need. Some are GI issues. Everybody's a little different.
What if you think everything's an issue? There's not one all-encompassing? Because basically everything that you just said, I know right now I probably look pretty healthy in this video, but I personally and lots of people, and I think it may have something to do with food, have autoimmune diseases. I have ulcerative colitis. I have a very stressful job from being a lawyer. And I think this video is very pertinent to people that do have very high stress jobs. And I'm not only doing this for my clients, but even for those that are my colleagues within my field. Health and wellness is such a big thing right now. Big focus in our industry because there's a lot of suicides. There's a high rate, especially of women making it to partnership levels, having their own firms just due to the stress. So I have very high cortisol levels.
Yeah.
I basically had everything that you just named. So I would want to test everything.
Right.
I think I have food allergies.
Yeah. So what we do is we kind of do a consult, so we'll kind of get a history from you, see what your significant issues are. We kind of delve in a little bit on what underlying conditions may be. And then we start with one test at a time. I don't want to throw everything at you. You know what I mean? So we kind of prioritize what we feel might be most important to start with, and then we go from there. Because we all want to test everything sometimes, like myself.
Right.
Yeah. And so we kind of we'll do that. And we do that together through an interview process and just kind of a checklist and see what might be the best way to start.
But again, all can be done virtually. Nobody has to go to an office during this time period, correct?
Everything's virtual. And a lot of my business is out of state. So I Zoom or Skype and the tests are virtual dropped, and then everything we can do virtual. Some folks like to come in person and see me, at the office, because some folks like that. Yeah. But most of my business is virtual. Yeah.
Okay, so once people, what are some other things that you think right now people should really sort of focus on with regards to health and wellness and, the stress? It does sound like things are turning around and maybe, the world's going to open up, but I think that's where we're probably, you would think, based on the media, where people need to be even more conscientious. We've all been sort of hiding out at home, and that has kind of stopped the spread. But once things get semi back to normal is when I think people really need to boost their immune systems and really listen to the advice that you're providing. I mean, obviously masks and gloves are one thing, and I'm not even sure. Now they're saying the masks are really for you to not get someone else sick. How do we avoid getting sick? Besides what other tips do you have?
Okay, I got a lot of tips. Brian is a periodontist, and so for him to
Brian's
get back,
your husband.
Yeah, my husband. And so for him to get back operational, I'm on webinars like a couple of times a day on what OSHA is coming out with, the CDC, how we're going to prevent spread of infection. So I came up with a little checklist I've sent out to friends and family on what we want to do in our lifestyle. We know about eating and everything, but what do we do in our home and when we travel out? So for myself, I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and you guys can adopt some of these, and some are very inexpensive and some might be a little cost, but it's a one-time cost. So for myself, we do wear N95s, or the ones from the European or KN95s. They're selling those at Ace Hardware. You can find those a little bit more available now, which is kind of nice. And those are the real thing. You don't have to worry that it's not the 3M. My husband tested them. You can test them with little water droplets. There's a couple of ways to test them. So we do wear that when we go out. And I do glove. So I glove when I exit my car, and then I will keep the gloves on. If I'm doing multiple stops, I actually will just, because gloves get expensive, is sanitize my gloves, as I the car, so that I'm not touching my steering wheel or anything, and then I move along to my next stop. And then I discard those at my last location, get back in my car. I always like to grab a wipe if they have them, either at the CVS, the Publix, a lot of them have that now, and I'll wipe my door handle, wipe my steering wheel, and little parts of my car that I touch, and then just go on my way. Here at home, what we have done is, it's very important to keep moisture in your air. So what we have is actually a humidifier. We run that all day. And at my husband's office, he sells a molecular iodine, which he uses to rinse the patient's mouth prior to any treatments. But it also can be diffused in these humidifiers for any aerosol in the air. So to keep our air healthy, we run that in the waiting room of his office, but we're also doing it at our home. So it's a combo. It does kill COVID-19. That and hydrogen peroxide does as well if you're rinsing, the mouth. So he's more focused in the mouth, but we've incorporated that, and it has a nice smell. It's apple or cinnamon. So I diffuse and keep that going, and it really is nice during our hot summer months to keep your air. It helps your air condition work more efficiently too. But it's
so
better.
Yours at home is linked to your AC?
No.
Or you just have it in your main living area?
No, I have it in our living area, and it goes for 3 days. I bought it on Amazon. I'll send you guys the link. It has a huge tank of water. And so it will run continuously. I turn it off when we go to sleep for about 2 to 3 days. So you don't have to refill this thing. It's really nice.
Okay.
And it was only $100, I think it was like $119. I forget.
Okay.
It wasn't super expensive.
So a humidifier, because I only do humidifiers if we have like a dry cough or something. I don't typically do that, but I have air purifiers, and I feel like I need all new air purifiers.
I'm going to tell you about that now. Great. So and it is good to keep your nasal passages moist and your throat moist. So that's what's great about the dehumidifier. What I do have is a little trick I forgot to tell you in my car is I love this xylitol nasal spray. You can either use that or grapefruit seed extract nasal spray. So I do 2 shots of that, 1 in each nostril, before I hop out of my car, so that I make sure that my nose is moist, that I'm not going to pick up any bacteria. That's how you get sick on the plane, when your nasal flies out. My husband and I will go on a 18-hour international flight, and we, knock on wood, have never come back sick. But every 2 hours, we are doing a nasal spray to keep my nasal passages moist. And then if your throat gets dry, because this is where the COVID-19 catches in, it's all in our respiratory tract. I use this great it's a honey natural throat spray. And so you can use that as well. So those are little tips, to keep your upper respiratory health.
Now, would it be far-fetched to say all these viruses that have come and from swine flu to bird flu to I don't know about Ebola, but one, and especially the ones that have come to us from China, they've all seemed to affect the respiratory system, where it's really taken people out, killed them. Furthermore, H1N1, when people die of it, it is all because it gets into your respiratory system. So these tips that you're saying, it is very relevant right now, but I think it's going to be relevant for the rest of our lifespan with the reality of these viruses. And really the bad viruses that are going to kill us are these respiratory ones. So it is important when we start flying. What you're saying is that we need to get these sprays for our throat and for our nasal passages.
Yes, the care package I have. I usually give my friends one, if they're going on an international trip. This is what I suggest you do before getting on the plane, while you're on the plane. And we have done that always, but it's really, like you said, very important. COVID-19 is really interesting. It's not more so in our head. It doesn't take it like our influenza. It goes right to the lungs, and that's why it's been so deadly, because it sets into that the alveoli and that lung tissue. And what we're finding is that the cytokine, which is the effect that happens. So when that virus gets into our lung, our body says, "Ooh, there's an invader." So it throws everything at it. And what happens is it's too much. We get too much inflammation, and it's kind of smothering us, and then we can't breathe. So that's when you hear that cytokine storm. That's kind of what they're talking about. It's an overreaction of our body to try to protect us. And so, yeah, so important. This will be for, I think, forever for that, using the
sanitizer, gloves, masks. Obviously, masks become difficult.
Yeah.
So,
but the nasal spray, I was using that before I started wearing the mask. So you keep your
right. So I'm just saying, like, packages that people should start getting, because again, remember, there was a shortage of everything before, we all hunkered down. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like as things open up again, there's going to start being a shortage. So get your big packages now for when we start opening up. So gloves, again, very important, masks, the spray that you're talking about. And what did you say again for the sprays? It was for the nasal.
You can use, there's called a Spry, S-P-R-Y. It's a xylitol, which is that natural antibacterial sugar. Or there's a great one, it's nutribiotic, and it's a grapefruit seed extract nasal spray, which is a great antiviral and an antibacterial. I love grapefruit seed oil. When I get sick, I will do 20 drops and a 1 ounce shot of orange juice 3 times a day. It will shorten the regular influenza flu by 3 days. You're back. I mean, people, I've recommended it for years and years and years, and people have amazing results, and there's really no contraindications. Okay. So that's a natural way when you start to feel like you're getting the flu, where you can't take anything for it. It's, more bacterial. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. And then I make my own natural cleaners. Of course, I'm a health nut and a natural nut. So, of course, everybody's talking about Lysol. The CDC did come out with a great report, and you can kind of Google that on what's approved to kill COVID. But the best thing I've done is I was able to find actually at Big Lots, alcohol. It's been hard to find. So if you just get some great aloe vera, you can do juice, aloe vera juice, whatever you can find. It's starting to become more available, and alcohol. So I do 2 cups of alcohol, 1 cup of aloe vera juice, and then I'll use either lavender essential oil or peppermint oil if you want to soften it or spice it up. And then I use that on my counters. I even spray it on my hands. We have it outside in the garage. Or you can get Thymol. Thymol it comes in a concentrate, and you can just add it to a gallon of water. It's the easiest way to buy it and the most natural way. And that's approved to kill COVID. And that's thyme oil. It's just thyme, the essential oil of thyme. And so I will use that. You can just use it anywhere on your counters. It's safe anywhere. So those are little tips. You do have to, hydrogen peroxide is a great one. It kills COVID really fast. Some of the other products, you have to be a little careful. They take a little longer. You have to let it sit on your counter, or packaging. But overall, I think any of those, we know bleach, Lysol. Right. I tend not to use so much chemicals, because those then affect our immune system. The toxins that are in those, we absorb what we breathe and touch. So I try to go more the natural route. I love the Clean wipes. The brand is Clean. Or 7th Generation has the Thymol wipes. So I was glad.
Now, have you been able to obtain those wipes? Because I know everybody's saying the Clorox wipes, the this wipes. I can't find Clorox or Lysol anywhere. I actually am okay with running out of the Lysol, because Lysol is really bad for your respiratory system. But now I have no spray, and I have no wipes at my house. So, obviously we do get our house cleaned quite a bit, and that is the one person I'm still allowing in my house.
Yeah.
But and he's using a little more bleach than we typically do because I'm sort of all natural too, but we're utilizing a lot of the vinegar, hot water, peroxide,
for the
that stuff.
floors.
But
Vinegar's not proven to kill it, but they do have a 30% vinegar, which you would still need to dilute, which is kind of got to be careful with. But yeah, vinegar's not an approved COVID.
Right.
But it's good to clean.
I'm back to, I have nothing to really clean my house because I'm not going to use, we just renovated our kitchen like a year ago. So we've got this marble kind of mixed countertop. It's similar to Susan Persith's, this countertop.
Yeah.
I don't want to use hydrogen peroxide on it. I think it will.
I'll send you the thymol. There's a thymol concentrate. You buy it.
How am I going to get it?
Oh, they have it. I'll tell you. It's from a carpet cleaning store. I found it. I had to buy it for Brian's office because we needed the concentrate to clean his chairs and counters. So I'll send you that, and you just dilute it. And I like that. And then, I can't find wipes either, so I'm using my paper towels. It works great.
Then we're going to run out of that too. But what
I know. I've been lucky. I had a stash before it started, and then I pick up every time I can pick up 2 rolls. They let you. But yeah, the wipes are really hard to find. I had a few, but not many before starting this. I did find some really cool ones, which you probably are able to buy online. Ace Hardware had them. They are called a Sani wipe. I'll have to take a picture. I'll send it to you. I forget the brand. It's mainly made for like industrial places that clean, but it's an alcohol wipe. But it doesn't have enough alcohol to kill. But what I do is I use that wipe with my homemade 70% alcohol aloe. And it's lovely. It cleans your stovetop beautifully if you have a ceramic stovetop. It cleans the counters beautifully because it's alcohol based, so there's no soapy residue. I love it. I happened to buy them not knowing if they would work because the packaging wasn't labeled, and then I researched it when I got home. So then I just add in my alcohol. I don't mix the thymol.
It's good for inside the sink and everything.
Yes. And then the other thing I love is, you guys all know Thieves, the essential oil. I love to diffuse that, to keep your air clean. If you have a little diffuser at home, is really good. And
how does the diffuser clean the air though? See, the diffusers I have just make my house smell good.
Well, the Thieves oil that you're breathing in helps. So it's clove, I think it's cinnamon, rosemary, thyme. All those are great antiviral, antibacterial.
So that's what I should be diffusing is the Thieves oil. Okay. I actually didn't know about that.
Yes. And then the other thing, I have one in every room. I'm obsessed with them. And you got to be careful of getting high quality salt lamps. So what that does is it reionizes the dirty in your air. So it grabs the bacteria particles and then pumps out better particles, into your air. Now, to talk about the air filters, you mentioned that. Right. The best one I found, it has a 5-year warranty. It's by Pure, and it's a 3-in-1. So really what you want is a UVC, and you want to make sure your UVC is at 250 nanometers. To kill the COVID or to kill virals. It kills the N1, all the other virals. And then you want a HEPA, so you got the dual filter there. So it zaps it, and then you got the HEPA. I found a huge difference. I have one in each room here at home. We have one in each operatory at Brian's. Right. But dust, I hardly have any dust. It's amazing. I didn't realize that. So it is grabbing those particles. But the UV is the key. What they're finding, you're going to see that a lot more. There you can get UV lights for your house. We just bought a little, it's actually a baby bottle disinfector. I guess I don't have kids, so I didn't know about it. It's called, it's so cool. So people use this to UV sanitize their baby bottles. And
that's right.
We're using it for the N95 masks, at the office.
Great idea.
So if folks have these little products in their homes for their children, they can utilize that to UV your face masks or anything that you want to sanitize. The wands aren't, they're kind of gimmicky, I think, because they have to be a 10 to 15 minute exposure all around. So they're selling these wands, but you would have to then stand there for 10 minutes, which we're not. People are just wanding. So you really want to, before you buy a UV unit, if you want to, for whatever you're wanting to sanitize, check into that and make sure it has the appropriate nanometers to kill.
Right. And a lot of the toothbrushes, electric toothbrushes, have that where you can sanitize your toothbrush head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we threw our cell phone in. We tried it. We got one that looks like a little lunchbox, which is kind of cool.
That's great.
Travel, so it's like a little square lunchbox, and it's an LED UVC. A NASA scientist created it, and so we tried it out with, you can throw your keys in there, your cell phone, glasses, safe. My friend, Cheryl Cook, she got them for the jewelry store because they have the same thing. They have to worry about people touching, and so they will then do the same sanitation. So it's kind of
jewelry.
Yes. So think about, there's so many things where you have to think about differently now how our world is going forward for the next probably year or two.
Wow. And imagine, I guess, for right now, because they have to touch everybody's hand. They have to take
I think they're looking at their gloving. Everybody's kind of getting systems down on how they got, and the sanitizers I recommended. There's a great hand sanitizer I really like. A dentist created it in California. I came across it. It's called Dr. Bright. And it is. So
when I'm looking down, I'm making notes on my phone.
No, go ahead. It's super moisturizing. It's got like orange peel oil. It's got aloe, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide. So I bought 4 because it's a little more expensive, but I was having a hard time finding it. And oh my God, I fell in love with it. And then now I see they have a special where you can buy a whole gallon of it. It's like $119. So a gallon will last you a long, long time. It's very liquidy. It's not, so it goes far.
We can get that also online. What's interesting is, how the sales pitch used to be, what's the best tool like a salesman have? And it was a pen.
Yeah.
That's not going to be their tool anymore, I don't think so. That's the only thing I get uncomfortable with is the switching off of pens. And when you go to pick up to-go food, some of the restaurants are still coming out with the pen. And I'm like, oh, no, thank you. I want to use my own. So I wonder what people will start doing with that. I guess just the automatic
I have my pen in my purse. Yep, me too.
Right.
So I just pop out my pen from my purse and then put it back in. Yeah, because that is, and we've kind of at my husband's office, we're going to more verbal, trying to do a verbal check-in, I won't have to sign in since, of course, we reduced the waiting room down to 5 chairs. So they don't have high volume anymore. And then trying to just all the HIPAA, we try to get them to do everything before coming into the office and then bring it with them. It's a little harder because I was real challenged yesterday for elderly folks, that don't have the computers and things. And so I try to do a virtual MD call for my dad in Nashville with me here in Florida. He's having some medication issues and he's quarantined at his assisted living. And so my brother can't get in with an iPhone to FaceTime. They wouldn't let us. I had my dad on the Alexa, which you could visually see him and he's talking, and I had an iPhone FaceTime and held them together. They wouldn't. They said only FaceTime or Zoom. I said, well, how are elderly people? Must be some type of HIPAA rule for the doctor office. And so HIPAA's it's tough.
So they said Zoom, and what were they doing?
Only Zoom or FaceTime were allowed. That my dad's Alexa.
The Alexa is what messed it up.
Yeah. And so I saw this morning, it was wonderful. There's 2 teenagers. Did you see that on the news?
No.
It's telemedicine help for seniors. And they have iPads and cell phones, and they're trying to help because the seniors don't have any of that or know how to use it. They were adorable. They were young teenagers, and they're starting a little business to try to help.
Great.
Yes, because I think we forget about that. Everybody's saying telemedicine, telemedicine, telemedicine. But the seniors aren't as techno savvy, even with paperwork to print out, to bring in to the doctor. They do everything virtual now.
Wait, ooh, that's loud. Well, and that's also happening in my industry because I represent, as you know, a lot of the board members that sit on condo HOA boards, and they all do tend to be a little bit older seniors. And I've had such difficulty with people doing these team meetings with me, my virtual consults. They can't figure out how to log on. And to me, it seems so simple. Or people log on from their desktop and then they're like, well, we can hear you, but I can't hear them. You have to ensure that you have a camera, you have a microphone. Desktops all don't have that. It is really just educating them, but this is the wave. Just like, remember internet, people were like, oh, I'm never going to figure this out. I'm never going to figure out a computer. I'm never going to figure out Facebook. Where there's a will, there's a way.
It
And
will.
maybe people have to start doing stuff on TV to teach people. And I was saying I would love to start a foundation of some kind, or I need to donate. I have, through my business, probably 3 to 4 laptops and desktops that if they could be stripped and someone can make that process easy for me, strip it for me, I'm happy to donate those. What I don't have time to do is now go find somebody, get my computers there, get them stripped, make sure I have my pictures off of them, and then donate them. And they're really nice. And, you know, I've even said I'm happy to donate them to a school or to like A+ tutoring, so children have it for their education.
Yeah.
Or I'm happy to donate them to an assisted living facility or something. I need to talk to somebody about how do I clean it out and make sure there's nothing left on the computers.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of new businesses for people, which it's, you know, we need that, as some folks have lost their occupation or job due to things not reopening, but new things will come about. And I think our mental health, the mental health component is really important. We didn't touch on that. It's tough now that we're inside. I am starting to get a little bit, you know, I had my husband and I just, let's go out and let's walk around the lake and just get some fresh air or bicycle, because we do get a bit stir crazy in here. But truly we need, as I think the anxiety will increase as we're seeing that with some folks, is to get back out. They're going to be afraid they're going to get sick or catch the COVID. And so we need to kind of make sure we exercise and meditation, utilize yoga, Pilates, whatever makes you relax and reduce your stress levels. We probably need to schedule more time for that. Because I think we're going to see high anxiety, and they're talking a lot about that on mental health right now in the news. And, you know, sad to hear the suicide word a lot, is the stress that faces people that, you know, just like with the Hurricane Katrina, I recall from New Orleans that a lot of professionals committed suicide because they had lost their practices, their home, and felt great despair. And it's kind of sad when these tragic things happen, things escalate.
What I posted on Facebook today for professionals like your husband and I, when we keep hearing small businesses, you just think bars, restaurants, hairstylists, nail techs. Me and your husband are small. You yourself, BWell, we are also small businesses. And we're going through the same, you know, people just assume we're all in business. And I don't know what it is. As I posted on Facebook today, this is the slowest I've been in a decade. And I don't know the reason for it, because honestly, the legal profession should not really be coming to a standstill like it has, aside for the fact that courts aren't open. But, you know, we're all affected by it. It does cause anxiety. But what I'm even more anxious about is once everything opens, I feel like they're going to expect more out of some of us professionals, and it's going to be nonstop, and people are going to forget this, that we have to take time for ourselves. And that's what I'm concerned about, is that it's going to be 24/7. Like my husband does medical device sales, and he's like, oh, there's no summer this summer because I'm just going to have to work 24/7. And I don't want to see us going back to that.
Yeah, and like my husband, the patients, he's been shut down since March 20th, can't reopen until May 8th, has done emergencies only, but his patients are calling. They want to get their implants, they want to get their surgeries completed that are non-emergent. And he was like, gosh, I think we're going to have to work 5-6 days. I said, well, we really, because of course now you have to spread the like you guys, you can't have as many clients waiting, all this back to back. Like us, you can't have as many in the waiting room, and they used to cross, so now it's one at a time, and so then that stretches out the length of time people can get in, and they're anxious. I know, but we do need to set that boundaries as professionals, because then we'll get sick and burn out, and our immune systems they get taxed. Stress is the biggest one to tax us, truly. I mean, we know it's a killer. We always hear those folks that are young and drop dead, and you're like, how could that be? They have a heart attack, and it's just because of just so much stress on our body. It just increases our cortisol, as we talked about, but more so the inflammation is what kills us. It's just that huge inflammation response in our body. Our cells can't handle it.
Now, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to my website. That is www.bwellbhealthy.com. Or you can call me. My number's 386-871-6477. My website has all that great information on there, and also has an email. You can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation. I have a calendar. You can just click there if you guys just want to talk to see if my services are of need. And we'd go from there.
Well, thank you so much, Bridget. This has been so helpful. Again, we will post this live to all of our social media with all of the links with regards to your company. I'm sure if people have questions, we'll be happy to answer their questions. And, thank you again so much. This was very, very helpful.
Aaron,
You're definitely going to be getting a text from me after this, because I do need to. Remember when we were trying to schedule before and couldn't because I was so busy.
Yes.
Didn't even have time to breathe. I really need to make time to schedule that time with you now and get help.
So we can do it virtual and then kind of go from there.
Just one last thing. Don't you feel like you met with a friend today and we got to have a conversation, felt like we helped the community? So even though we didn't see each other in person, don't you feel like you had some human contact today that kind of lifted your spirits?
I sure did. It's kind of like we're just in separate rooms, but I see you like you're here. It is good. We all need to try to do the Zoom or FaceTime. We need that human interaction, not just we really, really do.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Erin. Be well. Take care. Bye, everyone.